So you want to main Awilix, goddess of the moon. First, ask yourself, why do you want to main Awilix? Awilix has high mobility thanks to her partner Suku. Enemy guards with escapes will fear you. Awilix can make some nasty combos paired up with the right gods. Even though she has no immunity in her kit, she can even evolve ultimates and damage like Thanatos' ultimate, for example. But before you choose to main her, it's good to know the cons of Awilix. She's pretty easy to counter. Awilix is an opportunist. This means that she's a lot better in certain situations and can be dependent on others' actions. Awilix is a SMITE main assassin. SMITE has classified her as a hard god, and I agree, I do find her pretty hard. If you're an experienced Awilix player, or you just love playing her, feel free to leave any of your own tips down in the comments below. In this guide, we're exploring Awilix as a jungler, going through her abilities, attack cancelling, combos, builds, counters, what not to do, and general combat tips. We'll be going through this guide from a Conquest perspective, but don't worry, you can easily implement this guide into other game modes as well. With that, let's go through Awilix's abilities. Oh, and a quick side note, that is actually how you pronounce her name correctly. Awilix's passive, Initiative. If Awilix strikes first from out of combat, she increases her physical power for a short duration. This passive makes that it's beneficial for Awilix to make the first move and engage. This can also be pretty dangerous as well, so I wouldn't recommend doing this every time during a standoff. Awilix does better with ganks as she's very predictable. Learn to be aware of this passive. This passive adds a lot of extra power to your combo, so try not to get hit by minions when coming into gank. Awilix's first ability, Summon Suku. Awilix's 1 is a mount and leap ability type. Awilix mounts on her partner Suku. She will gain movement speed but also decrease strafe speed. Awilix may leap off Suku to deal more damage to enemies in the target area. Cancelling this ability before leaping will not trigger its cooldown. Cancelling it won't refund its mana cost, however. So you can basically run around mounted to Suku for the increased movement speed, however it will take the mana cost. This ability is her main escape. Awilix's second ability, Feather Step. Awilix's 2 is a leap ability type. Awilix flips over the last enemy she hits within 1.5 seconds. This roots, cripples, and deals damage to the target. The damage dealt is modified based on next attack in Awilix's basic attack progression. If the next attack is her third attack, then she also hits all targets in the area around her. This is her main damage and clear. Regarding her root and cripple, if you time it correctly, you can cancel out enemy movement abilities, the easiest being dashes. Ardio being one of the easier ones, placing their movement ability on cooldown, however it's much harder on gods like Mercury. Awilix's third ability, Moonlight Charge. Awilix's 3 is a line ability type. Suku rushes forward, damaging all enemies. If hit from the side or behind, enemies are also knocked up into the air. This ability can be pretty hard to hit. Awilix's ultimate, Gravity Surge. Awilix's ultimate is a stim ability type. Awilix immediately pulls her closest enemy she is facing that is either leaping or knocked up. The target god takes damage when they land. Awilix gains bonus attack speed and physical power, along with protections against roots, slows, and knockbacks for 6 seconds. This ability can pull targets through walls. Now let's get into the leveling priority for Awilix's abilities. For the first 5 levels, at level 1, her 2, at level 2, her 3, at level 3, her 2, at level 4, her 1, at level 5, her ultimate. For leveling priority, her second ability for increased damage, her third ability for increased damage, her ultimate for increased damage, attack speed, and physical power, her first ability for increased damage. So basically, 2, 3, 4, 1. Attack cancelling for Awilix. Attack cancelling allows for some extra damage. Basically, if you watch closely, it will cancel out some of the animation and go right into another basic or ability. This gives you consistent DPS and is not mandatory to learn if you don't want to. For her second ability, Basic, use her second ability, You want to do it on her second basic as it amplifies her second ability the most. For her third ability on quick cast, as soon as you use your basic attack, use your third ability. Combos for Awilix. Before we get into combos, a few pointers. Awilix is strongly reliant on enemies not facing her to land her third ability. This will make sure that the enemy gets knocked up. Awilix is also an opportunist. Gods like Bacchus, Vulcan, Geb, who all have knockups, make it much easier for Awilix to deal her combo without her using her third ability. That being said, she works extremely well with gods who have knockups, and gods who have escapes also make it a lot easier for her combos, such as Neef's backflip, Hunbat's jump, etc., without the use of her third ability. I strongly recommend not using her first ability to engage, it is her only escape. Her second ability works best after 2 basic attacks or when the AoE circle appears around the enemy. That is its strongest form. You can start any of these combos with Blink. Combos Awilix can do are basic, basic, 2, basic, 3, basic, basic, 2, 3, 4, basic, basic, 2, basic, basic, 2, 3, 4. This one only works if they're facing you initially, but can be countered by them turning around. Builds for Awilix. Builds always depend on what kind of enemies you're up against. My builds in this video are just a general guideline. You can adjust accordingly depending on your game and situations, especially since Awilix is a bit more flexible in terms of building. For a jungle Awilix build, Assassin's Blessing, Tier 1 of Crusher, Warrior Tabi, Finish Crusher, Transcendence, Hydra's Lament, Magi's Cloak. A quick note, you could try a fun attack speed power build for Awilix if you'd like. That's just a general build you could do, but you'll most likely need to counter your enemies. Other items you can heavily consider picking up, but not limited to are Ancile against magical opponents, Titan's Bane, Brawler's Beatstick for anti-heal, Stone Cutting Sword, Executioner, Mantle of Discord if you find yourself dying a lot, Bloodforge for lifesteal, Talaria's Boots instead of Warrior's Tabi if you would like more movement speed. For relics, Jungle Awilix generally picks up Purification Beads and Blink. Counters of Awilix. Beads counter Awilix's ultimate. Magi's Cloak counters Awilix knockup. Facing her. Awilix cannot use her knockup if you're facing her. Turning towards her can ruin her combos when she's going for a knockup. CC. Awilix cannot get out of things easily, and once she's in, CC will stop her combos and give you the opportunity to kill her. Cripples. Cripples are a huge nope for Awilix, as it cancels out half of her kit. Groups. Awilix does better in 1v1 settings, it's very easy to stack on her. What not to do as Awilix. Do not use Awilix's second ability without the AoE circle, unless you need to avoid damage. Do not use your jump for engagements, or at least try not to. This ability is best for movement, and if you have to, jump in on escaping enemies. This is really important as her jump is her only escape, and it's really not worth as an engagement. General combat tips for Awilix. You can proc her AoE second ability another way by using your third ability on the enemy, basic attacking the air twice or the enemy, and then using your second ability. Work on your reaction time for her ultimate. Enemies using their leaps or are knocked up are opportunities for Awilix to bring them right back to her. However, this means you need to react fast and accordingly. This is super important to know, but Awilix can avoid some damage with her second ability because it's a really quick leap. For example, you can use it to avoid Thanatos' ultimate as shown here. This does not mean she can avoid all damage like Nua's ultimate, which would still hit her in her second ability. Use your third ability on enemies who are running away. This is perfect opportunity to get a knockup. Work with your teammates who have knockups. Keep track of your enemies' relics and abilities that grant them CC immunity. Remember that Awilix is a really strong pick against guards with leap abilities. You can try bullying them into using their leaps just to bring them right back. Keep in mind that Awilix's first ability is mainly used for escapes. However, it's a slow escape as Awilix has to jump on Suku first. This makes it easy for enemies to burst you down. And that is all for the Awilix guide. If you would like to request a god guide or simply just to support me, you can find a coffee donation link in the description box below. Let me know what god you would like to main next in the comments. Subscribing and likes would be super rad. Clicking the bell really helps me out. I hope to see you for the next one. Bye!